What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I'm going to keep on pushing towards Legend using Flame Charge Talonflame. This Pokemon is a very unique pick, a Flying and Fire type, in a spot where it can take care of the Charmers, it can take care of the Mud Slappers, a lot of the really annoying Pokemon that you're going to see, and because of Flame Charge, you can 2-shield through a lot of things as well, and just be a general nuisance to your opponents. If you want to see my battles live, I stream almost every single day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, where you can see live insights into my gameplay and potentially see my teams early. I'd love to see you there. The link to that is in the description. But without further ado, let's get into the battles and see what this team can do. Alright, let's get right on into game number 1. We have our Talonflame in the lead up against a Galarian Corsola. Despite what it looks like, it's not actually a Rock-type Pokemon here, so we can stay in this lead matchup for just a minute, maybe even 2-shield through this if we want to try to go for Flame Charges and farm them all the way down, but they end up going for a Charge Move before we can throw on good timing, so I do have to shield this up, go for a Flame Charge in just a second, make it so we boost our attack a little bit later than I'd like to, but it should still be fine. Flame Charge number 1 going to come through. We are at actually 100 energy right now, so I have to throw very soon. They're almost at another Nightshade, so I'll have to throw on bad timing if I want to knock them out before they're able to get another Charge Move off against me, and I want to draw a shield. I don't want to go down 2 shields to 0 just yet. They opt to shield that attack up, which is fine right now. They go for yet another Charge Move against us, and I know I can survive the next Sonnet. I should be able to Incinerate down and have a boosted fly for the backline. Nightshade ends up drawing our shield here, Incinerate ends up knocking them out, and we'll see what ends up coming in to see what charge we want to throw against them. Likely a Fly is what we're going to throw. They come in with a Dugong. This could be a Brave Bird. Maybe I'm running, actually maybe I already revealed the Fly, so never mind. It can't be a Brave Bird. They probably know my moveset. They're going to no-shield this Fly. Yeah, they do opt to no-shield that, which is a little bit interesting. They're baking in their final Pokemon to be able to just sweep us with a shield advantage, but I come in with Gastrodon knowing that I can't really come in Shadow Drapion because Drill Run would basically one-shot me, and these Mud Slaps are going to put them into range where Body Slam could potentially knock them out later on. Icy Wind ends up debuffing our attack stat, but they swap out instantly after that debuff into this Wigglytuff. I want to clear my debuff with our Gastrodon, so I come in instantly with a Shadow Drapion of my own. Aqua Tail should start tripping this thing down. These Poison Stings are super effective damage. The only concern is I have to throw on bad timing here if I want to get my charge attack off before they can swift me and knock out my Shadow Drapion, so we are going to throw this right now. They might still be forced, though, to throw a charge move before we can get to another charge attack here. We are so close. They are going to be forced to throw an attack right before we get the next Aqua Tail. If I can either farm this down or come out of this with enough energy to be able to throw a move against that Dugong, we should be able to win this game with our Gastrodon in the backline. I do one extra Mud Slap so I can outpace or win CMP against that Dugong later this game with an Earth Power Body Slam enough to knock them out. And even if they had a charge move right now, I know Gastrodon is bulky enough, we should be able to survive it, but we win CMP anyway, get this Earth Power off against them, and this should be more than enough at this point to take the game. GG's to our opponent. Very interesting team comp, a little bit RPS based on our opponent's side, but we were able to overcome it. Alright, next game we're going to see a Shadow Kanto Marowak against our Talonflame. One of the better leads that we could see. Our backline doesn't really like seeing this, especially our Shadow Drapion, so we want to see what they're going to do here. They end up actually doing one Mud Slap and then swapping out to a Shadow Typhlosion. We have a fantastic answer to this with our Gastrodon. I'm going to shield this up, knowing that a Blast Burn, even though it's resisted, would still do a lot of damage. They go for a Thunder Punch for some reason. They're not getting to another move anyway, so that's a kind of useless bait for them, but that's fine. I have so much energy. The reason I ended up shielding this is because I think at this point that we have a lot of play with our Gastrodon. I can go for Earth Powers if they come back in with the Marowak. If they show us the third, then at least I'll know their whole team. So we end up going for an Earth Power number 1. It doesn't knock them out because of the shield, but if I can get to this next attack before they can knock us out, which even if they threw a Bone Club, at this point, I think we would have still survived it. This Earth Power should knock them out or put them very low at this point. They do end up surviving on about 1 Mud Slap worth of energy, or a Mud Slap worth of health, that is. They have a lot of energy on this Marowak. I can go for an Incinerate down. They do have almost a Rock Slide worth of energy, but that's totally fine. I can shield. I have that shield left over, but in the backline, going to be a tricky Pokemon to see. We do see the Dunsparce come in here. Our opponent pretty weak right now to a Grass-type lead. Unfortunately for us, though, we didn't have a Grass-type in the back or anything. All we have is our Shadow Drapion that is going to try its best to neutralize this matchup. We ended up no-shielding that Drill Run because I knew that Shadow Drapion could survive that, get to 2 crunches in the Zero Shield, and all I need to do is win the zeros. I have that Fly left over. I need to be able to take the shield from them so I can knock them out potentially with a Fly, or if they let this go, now I can just go for a full Incinerate down, and we should be able to take the win there. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup, we're going to see Talonflame up against a Shadow Drapion. This is a very tricky lead. They are a spammy Pokemon. They have Aqua Tail, and eventually these fast moves are going to add up to the range where we would get one-shot by it. So what I opted to do there, actually, was I went for 1 Incinerate, which got a decent amount of damage against them, and then I swapped into the Mirror Match. This way they're in range where 2 Aqua Tails are going to knock them out so much sooner than I'm going to get knocked out by them, and I also am still going to outpace them to 2 Aqua Tails before they reach their third. They actually opt to chip us out and then swap out to an Azumarill here, which is going to be a tricky Pokemon for us to see right now, but the thing is, we have a decent amount of energy. We have super effective Poison Jab damage, or Poison Sting damage, that is, and this should add up over time. We also get a defense drop on that first crunch here, which should put them into range where if I can reach another Aqua Tail after this crunch, it might be enough to knock them out. Aqua Tail is about reached. We don't quite get bubbled down. We get this move off, either getting a shield from this Azumarill or potentially getting a knockout and getting switch advantage here. Our opponent opting to shield up that move. In comes our Gastrodon. We do end up lagging a turn, so we don't get a free Mud Slap, but that's fine at this point. They're still not going to get to 2 charges before we can slap down. It just means we'll take 1 extra bubble here. They can't really come back in with their Drapion, so we will likely see their third Pokemon come in right now, and in the back going to be a Diggersby actually as their final Pokemon. This is a tricky Pokemon to see, but I think we do have play. They do have a lot of energy on Shadow Drapion, but I have to save my shields for those Aqua Tails. They end up transferring an Incinerate onto their Shadow Drapion, which means that even though they have almost 3 charge moves loaded, they will never get them all off. This next Incinerate, all I have to do is tap my screen, get this one through, shield this attack up. Even if they had back-to-back Aqua Tails right now, all of that energy is going to go to waste because of just how much fast move pressure Talonflame has with these Incinerates. They end up throwing a move right before I can reach the fly on good timing. With that said, there's not really much they can do at this point. I have access to 2 flies. I'm at 100 energy, and I'm going to straight up go for the fly because it does more damage than Flame Charge. If they no-shielded with Flame Charge, this game could get a little bit awkward depending on how it played out. So I just want to go for this straight up KO, or at least as much damage as I can with these Incinerates and these flies. Our opponent did shield that first one up, so a Flame Charge would have been actually a pretty good play there, but that next move almost knocking them out. We can just come back in with our Gastrodon, go for a Mud Slap down, or potentially make them throw all of their energy so we can Incinerate down. That doesn't even quite knock us out here. We can knock them out with our Gastrodon just with one more fast move. GG's to our opponent. Alright, next game, a Talonflame against a Jumpluff in the lead. Fantastic lead matchup here for us. We are able to take this out not only with our Talonflame, but also our Shadow Drapion, and because they ended up swapping in with an Annihilate here, Pokemon we don't have a great answer to aside from this Talonflame, I'm fine just staying in this matchup, winning it with our Talonflame, maybe even farming them down, having a boosted fly to go against whatever comes in the backline, and then Shadow Drapion can close out against that Jumpluff later on. They are going to be throwing a Rage Fist here, boosting their attack stat. I know that Annihilate is kind of a stupid Pokemon to the point where if they did end up landing that, they could probably 2-shield through us here. Losing Switch is the first way I know I could just instantly lose this game. They do get to another charge move, but I know at this point, because of that Incinerate damage after that Flame Charge boost, there is no way they should be able to knock us out before we can farm them down. They realize that as well, which means they swap out instantly to their Quagsire. I can't really swap out here myself, because if I do, I might switch lock my Gastrodon in later on against that Jumpluff, which is the worst thing that could possibly happen. I will just sacrifice my Talonflame. We still have our Shadow Drapion in the backline against that Jumpluff later on this game, so we should be in a fine spot right now. We can Mud Slap this all the way down, potentially go for Body Slams against Jumpluff, maybe even against Annihilate if they bring that back in. Shadow Drapion with the Poison Sting and Crunch damage should be fine against that Jumpluff later on. We end up actually getting an energy lead here with our Shadow Drapion because they did do 1 Fairy Wind in that lead matchup. They might be able to outpace us if I didn't have this energy lead, so getting that big energy advantage should be helpful, but they come in with Annihilate. They're very close to either an Ice Punch or a close combat. I do have to throw this energy. Even a Rage Fist would put us close to range, or potentially an Air Release from this Shadow or from this Jumpluff could knock out our Shadow Drapion. This is going to be a tricky endgame if they can outpace us in 2 charge moves before we're going to be able to get this next Crunch off. Let's see what's going to happen. Crunch ends up doing so much damage to them, but they are almost at back-to-back moves. Are they at back-to-back now, or can I do one more Poison Sting, get the Crunch off against them? This is going to be a very close game. They had back-to-back. I forgot that they did that 1 Fairy Wind in the lead at the start of this game when I was playing this matchup, so I ended up actually losing count there. They got the snipe down against our Drapion, and now, unfortunately for me, I don't think 2 Body Slams are enough to knock out, and we'll just get knocked out by any charge move they have, so GG's to them. That was a very big blunder by me, but they played that one very well. Alright, next matchup, a very good lead, another good lead actually. Last game was a good lead, but we ended up losing. Hopefully we don't end up losing this one. Gastrodon can be annoying if they are running the Water Pulse moveset. I've seen quite a few run that, especially if they're staying in this lead matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the moveset they're running, but since they're staying in the lead, we have to think about what could be in the backline. The first thing that comes into mind with Gastrodon nowadays that's ABA Week 2 Talonflame would be a Wigglytuff. If that is the case, I want to keep our Talonflame alive. I want to get shields down as well if possible, and they do end up no-shielding that first fly, which actually gives us the ability to go for a Flame Charge instead, which should do either a lot of damage to get the knockout here, or even get a shield, and now we can get a boosted Incinerate farm down and have energy for the backline. I do have to shield this up. They did reveal Water Pulse here, so I do want to shield that up. They go for a Body Slam, actually, but that's totally fine. They're not going to be able to outpace us to another charge attack. We get the full Incinerate down thanks to Flame Charge, getting our boost on our Incinerate damage, and our opponent taking a second to think about what they want to bring in here. They bring in a Wigglytuff of all things, a Pokemon that's definitely not an answer to our Talonflame. I'm boosted. They do have a shield that they could use, but they opt to let it go. At this point, I think Talonflame might have more play in the backline. I'm going to swap out here and keep a fly loaded just in case we need it. Shadow Drapion should be able to survive a Swift pretty easily, have a lot of energy for the backline, especially now that they are no longer having a Mud Slapper on their team. I should be able to land these moves against basically anything in the game. I can probably reach 2 of these crunches before they can gust us all the way down with a Pidgeot, but Pidgeot actually is a little bit of a scary Pokemon. Obviously, we have a Mud Slapper in the backline. Mud Slap does almost nothing to Flying-type Pokemon. We do have Body Slam, though, that if we get a debuff, could be in range where Body Slam would knock out, and since we do see that debuff here, I come in with our Gastrodon, make them drain energy. If they don't knock us out with a Brave Bird, then we can actually go for a Body Slam here. If they debuff us with the Feather Dance, we have a Fly left over too, so we can just swap out, go for the Fly, and make sure we can knock this thing out when they have no energy left over. So no one-turn lag shenanigans losing this game. We're able to close out this game and knock out the Pidgeot. GG's to our opponent. That was a very cool team, but also, yes, a Wigglytuff is kind of hard to call a Wigglytuff a cool team, right? All right, next game we have a Shadow Jumpluff in the lead once again. Last Jumpluff lead, we ended up losing. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. We have a Licky Safe Swap, and generally when we see Licky and Jumpluff, you have to imagine there's going to be a Dunsparce in the backline, which is a little bit tricky for our team, so I'm going to play around that this game by not going for Switch. Instead, I know that we have 2 very hard answers to that Jumpluff, so going and getting an energy lead with our Shadow Drapion should be the play. They actually didn't even build up to a Solar Beam here this game, which is kind of interesting. Normally when you see a Licky Safe Swap, they at least bait the Solar Beam, but it looks like they knew that they would be able to get the Zero Shield matchup here, going for 2 Earthquakes. That is totally fine. I actually wanted this. I wanted a big farm down with our Shadow Drapion, so we have an energy lead against this Shadow Jumpluff. I know I survive an Aerial Ace, so at this point, if there is a Dunsparce in the backline, I just have to no-shield an Aerial Ace here, go for these crunches, and potentially win this game with our energy lead Shadow Drapion. We get a defense drop there too. Everything is coming up clean for us this game. This is fantastic. Just have to no-shield this. I don't want to go down shields before they do, but they acrobatics us with a Shadow Jumpluff, one-shot our Drapion, and somehow we lose to another Jumpluff lead, so that's not good. And of course, whenever you lose a lead that you're supposed to win, we are going to have a much worse lead in the next game. So this is looking very bad for us right now. And Altaria, a huge core breaker for our team. We do have access to Fly, but we don't have Brave Bird, which makes this matchup a lot better. With that said, Fly still does do quite a bit of damage, and if I get this out of the way, maybe there's a chance that we have play with our Gastrodon later on. Fly is going to do quite a bit of damage. Our opponent thinking it might be a Brave Bird here, and we are at range where a Brave Bird would be able to be reached from our Talonflame. They don't know we're running Flame Charge, so I'm going to throw this once again. Maybe they want to shield twice. They do actually opt to shield twice here, which is good news for us, and we do get off another charge move against this Altaria. This is looking a little bit tricky because I know they'll get a huge farm down here, but I can't really swap out at this point. If I do swap out, they have a Mud Slapper in the back. That would be terrible news, so I just have to let them get the farm down. I know this is probably not going to reach 2 charges against us, but they end up coming with a Dunsparce of all things, and because I know we have our Gastrodon away from that Altaria, I can bring it in here now, build up some energy on our Shadow Drapion, so maybe even if they do have a hard answer to us, we should have some play in the backline, and I know Altaria has a ton of energy, so if I can come out of this matchup with a Body Slam, we should be in a pretty good spot. With that said, the way I need to play out this matchup is I need to throw 4 more Mud Slaps, CMP them on this final charge move here, and have as much energy as possible to have both a Body Slam and an Earth Power loaded. If this is enough to knock out, I need to watch to see if Altaria comes in. It does knock out. If Altaria comes in, we have that Body Slam ready to go. We're going to throw it against this Altaria and see what their final Pokemon is going to be. I think that at this point, there's not much in the game, even Mud Slappers, that could take out our Drapion, and that's a good thing that I'm saying that, because there is actually a Mud Slapper in the back, so we get to test this theory. These crunches are going to do so much damage. We have a little bit of Mud Slap damage in the backline if we need it at this point, and we get 2 crunches already before they can even get a charge move. We still have a shield left over this game. Crunch able to do a massive amount of damage, not quite enough amount, but the next Poison Jab is more than enough to win us that game. GG's to our opponent. Talonflame up against another Shadow Drapion. Alright, another tricky lead, but we're going to play it out the same way we did earlier in the video. Do that 1 Incinerate to put them close to range, where 2 Aqua Tails do knock them out, and they actually let us throw first here, which is kind of them. It shows that we do win the CMP, which is very nice to know, so if I want to be very careful with my energy management, I know exactly when I need to throw against this thing. They do have quite a bit of energy on this thing, and because of that, I know that they will be able to outpace us to 2 charge moves, but that third one will not quite be outpaced, and they end up trying to catch an Aqua Tail, actually, because they knew I won CMP on their Azumarill. I know they have a ton of energy left over on that Drapion. That's so scary right now, but we do have the ability to go for Poison Stings, maybe chip this thing down as much as possible. Crunch did not get a debuff this time, which means we cannot flip this matchup in the Zero Shield, which is not looking amazing for us, but maybe I can bank energy here and now swap back to my Gastrodon, knowing that at this point, there is not much play that Gastrodon is going to have in the backline, saying they already had a lead of a Shadow Drapion. I'm just going to kind of sack it here, use it as a way to take down one of the trickier Pokemon for our team, and then keep our energy just in case we need it later on. They do end up throwing yet another charge move here. What is it going to be? It's a player up, actually. Does quite a bit of damage to us. I'm going to have to throw at back-to-back body slams here. I wasn't quite able to get a full farm down. If I could have, that would have been so nice. But we have a body slam at the very least to chip down whatever is going to come in. And comes their final Pokemon. It is a Dugong. That is looking very tricky right now. I don't know if we can win this. I'm going to try our best here. But Talonflame has so much work to do right now because that Drapion on the back line has a ton of energy. I'm going to go for this Flame Charge here. Maybe they shield this knowing that a Fly or a Brave Bird could potentially almost knock them out. No, they opt to no-shield that. That is so frustrating, because if I got a shield there, maybe there would have been a chance. We have an Aqua Tail loaded in the backline, but because of this, now we have to no-shield this Icy Wind, knowing that the Aqua Tails in the backline are going to do way more damage to us, and now they throw yet another charge move. I have to shield this up, but I know they have 2 charge moves loaded on that Shadow Drapion in the backline. This is looking very bad for us right now. They end up not quite letting us farm them all the way down, which means that now they do have a lot of health left over on that Dugong. They come back in with their Drapion. I'm going to CMP Sack Swap our Shadow Drapion, try to make anything happen that we can. We have 2 moves loaded on our Talonflame. They end up shielding this one, but they still have a shield left. If that shield was gone, or if that Dugong ended up getting knocked out by that Incinerate, we could have won this game, but it's looking like at this point, we have to Incinerate this down and double fly against that Dugong. Unfortunately, not quite enough with the clunky 5-turn move that we had there. GG's to our opponent. Next matchup, though, a fantastic lead, Shadow Alolan Sandslash, one of the best leads that we could really see, and it seems like it might be one of those classic Shadow Alolan Sandslash double Mud Slap teams that you see sometimes in the Go Battle League, and Talonflame is the best possible answer to this team. Fly ends up getting the shield from them, actually. And the thing is, I'm not that concerned about switch advantage this game. You might be like, that's crazy. You have a Shadow Drapion in the backline. If there's another Mud Slapper, you really don't want that to be aligned into it. But the thing is, I don't even think I'm going to need my Shadow Drapion this game. All I need is that shield that we got already. I'm going to absorb all the damage I can with our Gastrodon here. We already got a shield. I have Earth Power already loaded. They dumped all of their energy here. If they want a double shield, they can be my guest. Earth Power should knock them out. So now we have switch and shield advantage and a Talonflame against a team that is notoriously weak to our Talonflame right now. What do they opt to do? They did get a couple Powder Snows here, so maybe they can go for an Ice Punch against us, but I have that shield advantage once again. I don't know how they're going to come back from this. I go for 2 Incinerates, almost one-shots it with these fast moves here, just how much damage they're doing, but this is going to be very good for us having this energy lead heading into that Marowak in the backline. They end up coming in with it, and because it is a Mud Slapper, once again, these fast moves are doing nothing. They could have Rock Slide that would do a lot of damage, but after they end up no-shielding that move, they've fallen right into my trap, where now I can go for Flame Charge, boost my attack up, and make it so our Incinerates should easily be able to knock them out before they're able to reach 2 charge moves. This is looking fantastic for us right now, even if they double bait us. Well, even if they bait us, I guess, once, they don't reach a second charge move is what I'm trying to say here. But the good thing is, even if they did reach another charge attack, our Shadow Drapion could easily have closed out that backline. GG's to our opponent there. What are we going to see in this next one, though? A Talonflame mirror matchup. A bit of a tricky lead, because if they win CMP, they go for like a Brave Bird instantly. That can be a very tricky matchup to play out, and I do win CMP, actually, so that's good to see. But this Fly should do quite a bit of damage. I don't have Brave Bird. If I did, it would threaten a knockout, but our opponent opting to no-shield that. A good call by them, but we'll have to see how they want to play this one out. They do end up throwing a Fly of their own here, and because of that, I am able to go for a Flame Charge. I can either knock them out with this and boost my attack, or potentially they'll end up shielding this. I can Incinerate down and then have even more energy for the backline. They end up letting it go, so I do win the lead, but I have to go down a shield to do so, and they end up coming with a Morpeko here, a Pokemon that normally up shields is a fantastic Pokemon to use. With that said, because of the Flame Charge, these Incinerates have added up already quite quickly. They end up putting a charge move here, but I have done almost 2/3 of their health just with Fire-type Fast Food Pressure. Psychic Fangs at this point wouldn't knock us out, or it would be very close if it would, so they opt to go for Aura Wheel. This is a little scary, actually, because by doing that, they are in the Dark-type mode, and they have an attack boost on their Morpeko right now, which means that this Dark-type move would basically one-shot us. I'm going to be forced to shield this up and see what their final Pokemon is going to be. In comes their final pick. It's going to be a Shadow Kanto Marowak, a Pokemon that our Shadow Drapion has no play into. My only hope is landing a Body Slam bait and then going for an Earth Power and basically one-shotting them with Gastrodon. We do get the shield there, but do I get knocked out by a Bone Club? Not quite yet. They CMP us on this move. They have back-to-back. If this Earth Power is enough to knock out, I should be able to win this game. It is just barely enough to knock out the Marowak, and we can Mud Slap down the Morpeko, just barely taking that one there. GG's to our opponent. Next game, we're going to see a Diggersby in the lead. Fantastic lead matchup. We know that they only have resisted charge moves unless they're running Hyper Beam, which Hyper Beam is a very rare moveset to see on Diggersby, so I guess we'll have to see here what they want to do. Flame Charge is going to ramp up my attack very early on in this matchup, so even if they get a Scorching Sands debuff, that's totally fine because of these boosts that I can do onto my own attack stat here. They end up throwing a charge move, likely going to be a Scorching Sands. Was not quite enough for a Hyper Beam. Yeah, just a Scorching coming through. No debuff even for them, so I can reach this Fly, get a guaranteed knockout, and if they let this through, then that is a very problematic Pokemon that I've already been able to take out this game. we do end up knocking them out, and comes in Azumarill, and at this point, since I don't have an answer to Azumarill, I'm actually very fine getting a boosted Fly off into this, and it should be enough to put them into range where either Body Slams or Earth Powers later on this game should be able to knock out with our Gastrodon, or even just Poison Stings and Crunch from our Shadow Drapion. They end up doing a charge move here against our Gastrodon, which is totally fine. I know that they're not going to reach another charge move before I'm able to reach an Earth Power, unless they went for Ice Beam, and Ice Beam does very little damage. They go for a Play Rough, which means we can CMP here with the Earth Power. Opponent ending up catching on Annihilate. Okay, maybe they're expecting a Body Slam bait. Maybe they no-shield this. They do opt to no-shield the move. I get a massive amount of damage into Annihilate. I guess they top left. They were hoping for the Body Slam catch. That's fantastic for us there, though. But GG's to them. Next game, going to see a Malamar in the lead. A bit of a tricky matchup. You might expect this to be a good lead, but the thing is, Malamar is so spammy. These sideways do so much damage to me as well. And even though I do have Flame Charge, I can never win the 2-shield matchup, even with fast food pressure, just because of how spammy this Pokemon is. Because of that, I'm going to opt to go for the Fly, knowing that Fly does do more raw damage, and if they end up letting this go, I can probably farm them all the way down. They end up actually shielding that move up, so I'm going to come in with our Shadow Drapion and try our best to whittle this thing down. We have Crunch here. They come in with a Gastrodon to answer our Shadow Drapion. But the thing is, I am not that worried about this matchup. Even if they go for a Body Slam, I should be able to survive it on 1 HP, go for an Aqua Tail against this, and then go for a full farm down against this with either my Talonflame or maybe even my Gastrodon. Aqua Tail, after that defense drop, should be very close to knocking them out, at the very least making it so they can't reach another charge move here this game. I end up mud-slapping them all the way down. Malamar against our Gastrodon is not exactly a good matchup, and a lot of the times in the backline with Malamar, you might see Poison types, which could be a very good lead to see, or backline to see, rather. They come back in with their lead Pokemon with a Malamar. They have a Foul Play already loaded up here, but I can shield this up, go for my Mud Slaps, overfarm a little bit, and if they end up letting this Body Slam through, it's not going to knock out, but it will put them into fast food farm down range before they can reach another charge move against us. They end up letting it through, and in the back going to be yet another Licky Licky. This Pokemon, if it does have Solar Beam, and if they bait us properly, could be potentially annoying. This is another Pokemon that our Talonflame wouldn't really want to see as well, so we're going to try our best to whittle this down with our Gastrodon and see what we can do this game. They end up building up over 100 energy right now. I don't know what they're planning. If this is a Body Slam bait, then they're almost at their next Solar Beam. So I'm going to try to catch it here after 1 Mud Slap. It is a charge move catch, but what move is it going to be? If this is a Solar Beam, that's a fantastic catch. It's just a Body Slam. Our opponent opting to go for 3 Body Slams here, but the thing is, I know at this point, Malamar's not getting into another charge move. Body Slam doesn't knock us out. We have 2 Body Slams of our own ready to go up against our Malamar. Here we can throw one, throw the second one right after, and guarantee the win here. Malamar is nowhere near enough energy to reach another charge move against our Gastrodon before we can throw this next charge attack ourselves, and it looks like this Body Slam should be more than enough to secure us this game and get us the win here. GG's to our opponent. Very cool team. Licky Licky not quite able to take us out here. Next matchup, Talonflame up against a Miltank. That is a terrible core breaker to see. I guess not really a core breaker as much as just a bit of a tricky Pokemon for our lead to see, and then our Shadow Drapion's not really a great answer. They can outpace us to a Body Slam here, which is going to do quite a bit of damage to us, but it's at about half health after that, excuse me, and then they come in with a Mandibuzz, and hopefully we can chip this down, but they are running Air Slash on Mandibuzz too. This game is looking absolutely terrible for us right now. Air Slash Mandibuzz might even get a full farm down against us, but if they ever do throw a charge move, maybe I can make something happen where I farm this down with our Talonflame, use energy against that Miltank, and maybe have a chance this game. They end up throwing a charge move here actually almost instantly, which is fine. I know Aerialist might not knock us out. We might even get another Aqua Tail into them, which we are able to do. This is going to put them a lot lower on HP than they'd probably like to be, but this is still going to be a very awkward game, knowing Miltank in the backline likely is going to have another answer to our Mud Slapper. If they don't have another hard answer, though, there could be a chance here we could win this game, depending on how they want to use their shields. I know I can fully farm them down if I shield once and then not even take another charge move. I'll have basically 100 energy coming out of this, and because of that, they don't know if I'm running Flame Charge, they don't know if I'm running Brave Bird. They might have to respect this with this Miltank. I might get both shields here, and if I do, I might be able to make something happen. Fly ends up getting the first shield. I'm going to wait, go for another move here, and see what our opponent wants to do. It looks like they are staying in. This could be a Brave Bird trainer. You have to shield it up. They do double shield, and in the back line is a Superior. So that's not looking great right now. Maybe if they let us get to 3 Body Slams and we can knock them out, maybe we could win this game. But even then, that Miltank is just way too spammy with these Body Slams and these rollouts that I think we've just kind of lost this game at this point. This super hard RPS. I tried to overcome this. Unfortunately for us, though, I think that they just have us pinned here in the back line with the Superior. Another Body Slam has been reached. Our opponent vine-whipping us down, but they stopped tapping. Okay, is there any chance here this Body Slam is enough to knock out? If it is, maybe there's a chance to win this game, actually. Body Slam ends up coming through. Not even enough. The little bit of hope that I had just crushed in an instant there. They get a charge move off here, and at this point, an Aerial Ace will put us easily into range where I just get completely roll-outed down, and even if I had Brave Bird, I wouldn't be able to reach it there at the end. I'd be 5 energy short. GG's to our opponent. That was a really annoying game, but GG's to them anyway. All right, next matchup, a Clodsire in the lead up against our Talonflame. I know they could have a Stone Edge here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out to our Shadow Drapion, go for these Aqua Tails here, and make their life very miserable. Shadow Drapion is a poison type against a ground type Pokemon, but this is a very slow Pokemon that we're fighting right now, and even though I know they're likely going to bait us here, it is going to reveal their moveset, so if they are running Stone Edge, we'll see it. If it's Sludge Bomb, we'll know our Talonflame is a lot safer later on this game. It is a Sludge Bomb bait here, and they come in with a Dugong, a Pokemon that isn't exactly a good answer to our Shadow Drapion, at least not down energy. They do have a shield advantage here, though, so maybe they want to shield up this matchup and try to win it that way. They end up getting defense drop, though, on the first move, which is great for us. It means this next crunch should either draw a shield or just get a knockout here. Crunch ends up getting the knockout. I'm going to do one Poison Sting and catch a move. Is there a chance this is a Drill Run, or did they just go for the basic play and go for Icy Wind? It's a Drill Run catch. That is the perfect thing to see here, which means that now we are not debuffed. We can go for so much energy with this farm down, and potentially Talonflame against that Clodsire later on is going to have a lot of energy to throw into it. Icy Wind ends up coming through this time, but that is only one debuff on us. They do have 1 HP left over on their Dugong. We have a Fly and a Flame Charge that we can throw against this Clodsire before they can reach a Sludge Bomb. We should be able to either knock them out or put them into a range where they're going to be forced to throw energy against us. This next Fly going to come through, not going to be quite enough, I don't think, to KO this Clodsire, but they can go and knock us out and give us a nice farm down with our Gastrodon. With that said, they've already been a little bit weak to our Gastrodon this game. There's a good chance that their final Pokemon might be a counter to us. I'm hoping that's not the case, but we'll just have to wait and see right now what is going to come in here. It's a Talonflame, a Pokemon that is a little bit scary right now. I'm going for this Body Slam to put them close to range where 1 Aqua Tail from a Shadow Drapion should be enough to knock out. I know we have a little bit of energy, but I have to survive these Incinerates long enough to be able to get to 2 Aqua Tails. This is going to be so close. I am 4 Poison Stings away. Can I survive the Fast Move Onslaught enough to get these 2 moves off? I'm now 2 away. Flame Charge boosting their attack stat. They are using my own tech against me here with Flame Charge on this Talonflame. Can I get my next Aqua Tail off on 1 HP? Shadow Drapion able to knock out this Talonflame and get us the win. There is still that Dugong in the backline that we have to keep in mind. We go for the full Poison Sting down and take the game just barely there. Alright, next matchup. What are we going to see? A Talonflame into a Azumarill. One of the worst possible matchups you could see, but I'm going to safe swap our Shadow Drapion once again. That's just kind of what we do here and see what they want to do. They seem to be throwing energy here after they get to a play rough. I want to shield this up. Honestly, in this matchup, I'm kind of fine just like double shielding if they want to stay in, because Shadow Drapion, it only doesn't want to throw energy into Azumarill. Once this thing is out of the way, and I can farm this down and have a lot of energy for the backline, Crunches and Aqua Tails are basically going to be unchecked against whatever they're going to come in with. They actually opt to swap out, though, after letting us throw a Crunch into their Annihilate. I have a lot of energy still, though, because I kept on overfarming against that Azumarill. Enough energy where I can get to another Aqua Tail against this thing. Switch blocks are very distinct at this point. What is our opponent going to do? They end up surviving on 1 HP, but they don't quite reach the Ice Punch here before we can Poison Sting them down. We end up flipping Switch Advantage, which might be massive for us right now. I might even get to another charge move depending on what they come in with. They do opt to come in with this Azumarill. I'm going to bank a Crunch, and we see that they throw a charge move against our Gastrodon. I don't know what could be in the backline, but it might be a similar team to what I ran the other day with a Galarian Corsola in the backline, which is exactly what ends up appearing on our screen. This is going to be tricky. I know Power Gem could potentially one-shot our Talonflame. I know we have almost no HP on our Shadow Drapion, but I stored a Crunch for this very matchup. I got 1 shield here by going for this Earth Power. I need to get another shield from this with either a Fly from my Talonflame or the Crunch on Shadow Drapion, and then I need the other move to be enough to knock them out before they can catch with their Azumarill. This is going to be a very tight endgame. We'll have to see how it's going to play out. They do throw a charge move here. I have to shield this up. I know I get one-shot by a Power Gem. They don't even bait. They go straight for it, and now I can reach this Fly here, make sure they don't catch, and now I have to try to make the combo play here. Do they swap out to Azumarill, or do I get the combo play with this Crunch? They don't swap out. Crunch is going to be more than enough to knock out this Corsola, and Azumarill is still alive in the backline. Is it going to have Hydro Pump, or is it going to be enough here to knock us out with Bubbles and Ice Beam? This is going to be down to the wire. What is about to happen? They don't have Hydro Pump. Ice Beam would not have knocked us out. They end up top lefting. GG's to our opponent there. That was as close of a game as it could be. Flame Charge Talonflame, honestly putting in so much work here. Huge core breaker for a lot of teams that you're going to see, right? Has a lot of fast food pressure itself, able to resist a lot of fast food pressure on its own just with its typing, and even the water type Pokemon, right? You have Fly as a good coverage move, and with Shadow Drapion and Gastrodon in the backline, this team is a very flexible team. All right, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. I stream my battles live basically every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN. It's a lot of fun. I'd love to see you there. The link to that is in the description. Thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.